All right, let's call to order the Town of Moncks Corner regular council meeting, Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. Our invocation will be done by Pastor Jeff Roper of Panopolis Community Church.
Hello, let us pray. Father, we thank you that we're able to give you praise for a beautiful, wonderful day where I know we've had many opportunities, each of us, to serve you. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to live in this wonderful town and for our mayor and for our town council. Thank you, Lord, for their willingness to serve the community and through that serve you. We pray, Lord, as they meet this evening, that through them you'll accomplish your will. Bless each resident, each one that's impacted by this wonderful town, and use us all to bring honor and glory to your name. In your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance will be done by Councilperson Lloyd.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have a special presentation. We're going to recognize the Berkeley High School Beta Club state champions, lead teacher Brittany Colley. Do y'all want to come up to the front? Okay. Just line up. Let's get the Miss Colley. We can get you in the middle. I want you to hold the.
Oh, Miss Jones too. Oh, Miss Jones.
Well, y'all both come into the middle. I want y'all to hold this while I read this. Whereas the 2025 Berkeley High School Beta Club consists of 182 members in grade 9 through 12. Of the 182 members, 108 students attended the National Convention in Orlando, Florida on June 21st through the 27th. Under the outstanding leadership of lead teacher Brittany Colley and sponsors Kathy Jones and Jeremy Colley. And whereas these students competed in over 35 academic, art, and talent competitions against students from around the nation. And whereas Mayor Thomas J. Hamilton and the Town Council are deeply proud of the Berkeley High School Beta Club and would like to call public attention to this group and recognize them for their outstanding accomplishments at National Convention. National Convention, first place, Performing Arts Large Group, 96 students. Sixth place, Creative Writing Division 1, Millie Jennings. Sixth place, Psychology, 12th grade, Michael Rogala. Eighth place, Social Studies, 10th grade, Jordan Moon. Ninth place, Show Choir, 30 students. Ninth place, Solo, Duo, Trio Variety Act, Brooklyn Nelson, Avina Ramos, and Sophia Ramos. Now, therefore, be it so resolved that I, Thomas J. Hamilton Jr., Mayor and Town Council members of the Town of Moncks Corner of Berkeley County, State of South Carolina, do hereby acknowledge and applaud Berkeley High School Beta Club for their historical achievements. Signed this day, 16th of September, in the year of our Lord, 2025. Congratulations. Get in person, and I'll come in. All right.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Now we have a presentation, Safe Designation Award, Moncks Corner Police and Fire Department. Monique Garvin, Deputy Director of South Carolina Attorney General's Office, will present the award.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, if I could just have a few minutes of your time. I was approached, kind of background on this, I was approached several months ago by Ms. Zelda and Captain Richardson about this program, an opportunity to enhance the services that both the police and fire department provide to members of our community that have been involved in sexual assault. Through that partnership, we developed our partnership with the fire department and with Ms. Brina and Amanda put this training program together. So over a 2-day period, we got everybody in the police department, everybody in the fire department trained in this program in order to enhance the services for sexual assault victims in the community of Moncks Corner. So for this, I'll turn it over and let you guys.
Good evening, and thank you for letting us come in tonight. We are very excited. My name is Sabrina Gast. I am the Director of Forensic Nursing Services with the South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. And SCVAN, if you're not familiar with SCVAN, has been around, was created in 1985 in a response to the South Carolina Crime Victims Bill of Rights. And we were created to provide services for victims of crime and to provide education for those that are caring for victims of crime. We have 3 main objectives at SCVAN. First is to ensure that all crime victims receive access and assistance from the criminal justice system. 2, to improve the quality of services provided to crime victims by victims advocates. And 3, to ensure that the criminal justice system adequately serves our crime victims. To fulfill these objectives, SCVAN works with advocates across the state on behalf of victims and witnesses of crime, maintains communication networks, enhances public awareness, facilitates research and evaluation, serves as technical support, and facilitates quality training, providing education regarding legislative initiatives and pertaining to crime issues. We coordinate policy development, manages one-of-a-kind programs, and encourages citizen and victim participation in the criminal justice process. In 2019, SCVAN hosted the first Forensic Nurse Examiner Task Force meeting in Columbia, which included partner agencies from the Attorney General's Office, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, the South Carolina Hospital Association, SCEDVASA, DSS, multiple solicitors, forensic nurses, and physicians from across the state to meet regularly to discuss issues surrounding victims of sexual assault, strangulation, domestic violence, and elder abuse. Today, we're here to focus on one of our projects, our SAFE designation. The Sexual Assault Forensic Excellence designation is a voluntary designation program that is overseen by SCVAN and our forensic team. We are excited to be here in Moncks Corner to award the Moncks Corner Police Department and the Moncks Corner Fire Department with their SAFE designation. We do have one of our partner from the Attorney General's Office today here, Ms. Monique Garvin. I'd like to just say just a couple of words.
Good evening. My name is Monique Garvin, and I am the current Acting Director of the South Carolina Human Trafficking Task Force in the Violence Against Women Act program. So part of our role is to ensure that statewide we have a response to domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, harassment, and human trafficking. That is why we are so proud to be long-term members of the Forensic Nurse Examiners Task Force, as well as standing beside SCVAN and SLED in designating this new program for Moncks Corner. It is our commitment that it is important for victims of sexual assault to not only ensure they're receiving specialized care, but making sure that regardless of their zip code, their background, where they're receiving services, that they can get the same quality of care across our state. So it is at this time that I'm going to introduce Amanda Brown, and she's going to award this designation for Moncks Corner.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Amanda Brown. I am the statewide forensic nurse coordinator with SCVAN. So Sabrina and I kind of tag team the state. 3 years ago, we launched this SAFE designation. We wanted there to be a way for hospitals, law enforcement, EMS, fire, advocacy to be recognized for going above and beyond to make sure that they're providing the best care for sexual assault victims. In doing that, we did have some amazing partners like the Attorney General's Office, SLED, and our hospital association. This designation is a way that's voluntary, so they don't have to take part in it. So the agencies that are taking part in it are going above and beyond the normal call of duty to ensure that they're providing the best care possible. I think that that speaks volumes to state that they wanted all of their staff to be able to go through the training for not only for law enforcement, but also for fire. So today is extra special because this is our first one in the state where we get to grant 2 agencies a designation at the same time. So we travel all over and do separate ones, but there's not been one where both agencies have obtained it at the same time. So I'm truly honored to be here. This is really a big deal for especially Moncks Corner, being that you guys are rural, to make sure that you guys are partnering together. So I want to do this up front and make sure that each agency has their time to shine with these designations. So is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I've got 2 plaques. One is going to be for the fire department,
Stand up.
and then the other one is going to be for law enforcement.
No, I'm gonna let them have it. Y'all shine. This is y'all's award. Y'all, we'll stand behind y'all and applaud you. Woo!
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, this wouldn't be possible without, this wouldn't be possible without the excellent service that we have provided through our victim advocacy. Ms. Zelda is just an amazing victim advocate. This whole SAFE designation would not be possible without her. So I'd like to take a second to recognize her and give her a certificate. So this is the Moncks Corner Police Department Award for Excellence in Victim Advocacy, presented to Zelda Holmes. In recognition for her exceptional leadership, steadfast dedication, victim advocate Zelda Holmes is honored for her instrumental role in coordinating the Moncks Corner Police Department SAFE designation training. Her efforts have empowered the department with vital resources to deliver trauma-informed, compassionate care to sexual assault survivors, setting a new benchmark for excellence in victim advocacy. She's also founded the Mending Hearts, a support group for survivors of sexual assault and intimate partner violence. This initiative offers a safe, confidential space for individuals to share their experiences, build coping strategies, and find strength in community. Zelda's integrity, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to service inspires those around her. Her high standards and tireless work ethic makes her an invaluable asset to the Moncks Corner Police Department. Through her remarkable contribution, she has brought honor to herself and to the department she so proudly served. And I signed it today's date, so I'd like to present this to Ms. Zelda.
Woo! If anybody spends more than 2 minutes with Mrs. Zelda, you understand her passion, her heart, and the way she conducts herself. She truly cares about our community, and that honor is well-deserved, so congratulations. Approval of minutes, budget workshop minutes, August 13, 2025. Motion?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Regular meeting minutes, August 19th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Budget workshop meeting, September 4th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Special meeting minutes, September 8th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Mayor's report. Let me start out with just a quick apology for the Beta Club. I kind of butchered. I grew up with a stutter, and I have worked very hard in my life to overcome it. But when I do get very tired, it sometimes comes back, and I did mess up a little bit there. So, Mayor's report on 8/23. I went to the 50th anniversary of the Shrine Club. On September 2nd, I had the pleasure of attending the swearing-in ceremony of 2 of our new police officers. It was an honor to welcome them to the department and commend their dedication to serving our community. Also on the 2nd, I attended the Girls and Boys State Recognition Dinner hosted by the American Legion Post 126. The event honored outstanding youth participants in civic leadership programs. Councilman David Dennis also joined in support of these future leaders. On 9/5, I attended a celebratory event at Berkeley Middle School where the school was honored with the prestigious award from the Special Olympics. The recognition highlights the school's outstanding commitment to inclusion and support for students with intellectual disability. Though unified sports and community engagement, I was proud to congratulate the students, faculty, and staff for fostering a culture of acceptance and teamwork. Also on 9/5, I attended and participated in the ribbon cutting for 111 Custom Carts. Councilman Dennis and Sweatman were also in attendance. On 9/6 through the 7th, I went to the recreation fields. We had a travel ball tournament where teams from across the region competed in a spirited weekend of youth baseball. I enjoyed speaking with fans from all over and took the opportunity to share information about some of our local businesses. On 9/8, I attended and participated in the opening night of the Miracle League season for the children, celebrating an incredible evening with many new faces and returning families. I encourage our local businesses and community members to volunteer as a buddy for the Miracle League. If you do it once, you'll come and thank me for asking you to do it. On 9/9, I attended and participated in the opening night for the Miracle League for the adults and greeted everyone. The energy and joy on the field was truly inspiring. That day was also my birthday, and they sung me happy birthday. That was amazing. And then I went and attended the 40th anniversary celebration of the Japan Karate Institute, honoring Sensei Del Coker for 4 decades of dedicated instruction and mentorship to both youth and adults. His commitment to discipline, character development, and community enrichment through martial arts has made a lasting impact on generations of students. The town posted a very nice happy birthday for me, and a lot of our community and the people around really said some nice things. So I really want to thank you for all your support, and you really made me feel honored on that day. On 9/12, I was honored to attend and speak at the Moncks Corner Baptist Church Tent Revival. It was a meaningful evening filled with uplifting messages, a shared meal, and wonderful fellowship. On 9/13, I attended the Rec League Tackle Football Jamboree. This was an amazing event. I want to thank staff for all their hard work in putting this on. Councilman Dennis was also in attendance for that. And on the 13th and 14th, we also had another travel ball tournament at the Rec Complex, and I went down, and I like to speak to all the fans because sometimes we get teams as far as North Carolina, Tennessee, and I always like to promote our local restaurants and businesses to let them know that they're there. 9/13, I also attended the Moncks Corner Rec Day at Charleston Southern University, where they recognize our youth program. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the CSU staff for their amazing hospitality and the beautiful frame presentation jersey that they presented to me. And finally, on 9/15, I attended an event at the Berkeley County Adult Education Center and presented a proclamation recognizing Adult Education Family Literacy Week. That's the end of my report. Administrator's report.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I have quite a few things to go over with you, but first, Mr. Westbrook has a new employee introduction.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Council, we had a vacancy with our chief building official. We were lucky enough to fill that with Robert or Bob Bruno. He comes from us from Pender County, North Carolina, but he's been doing plan review and building inspections all over this country, as far as from California, all the way to North Carolina, and now South Carolina here in Moncks Corner. So a wealth of experience. His leadership is going to be very valued and welcomed here with our budding inspectors, and he's gonna do a really good job here. Hopefully y'all welcome him, and if y'all ever see him around, talk to him. He's got some stories, but hopefully we'll make this a more efficient, effective department, and Bob's gonna lead the way.
All right. Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, go ahead, say a couple words.
What would you like me to say? We moved here, basically, it's a beautiful town. You know, I didn't expect this opportunity, and I thank everybody for this opportunity. We were looking for houses in South Carolina. I gotta say, this was the best town, most beautiful town. So, and to have the opportunity to work in this town and help this town proceed in the future is an honor.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, next, I'd like to give you an update. At the last council meeting, last regular council meeting, Councilman Sweatman asked staff to look at the tree ordinance, make some changes, make it easier on our residents. You have a memo in front of you. So after that meeting, staff reached out to Inspire, which is the company that you've contracted to look at our UDO. And the UDO is taking the zoning ordinance and adding to it all relevant ordinances, one of them being the tree ordinance. So this is something they would already be looking at. So what we asked them to do was, because of the timing, we asked them to kind of front end the look at the tree ordinance. And so they've started that process. And the first part of that is just evaluating our current ordinance and ordinances of our neighbors. And so in this memo, right now is not any yet recommendations. It's more, this is the current situation as it sits in Moncks Corner and relevant neighbors. We've had 2 meetings with them in preparation of this and in review of this memo. Then the next step is going to be is to draft an ordinance to put before you. Our intent is to do that at the next council meeting. But between now and then, we would love to be able to hear from you after you've reviewed this. Kind of give us your feedback. Let us know what your thoughts are. Send an email. Sit down, talk to us, and let us know. What things in there you'd like to see, and then we can get that drafted for you. So just letting you know that we are moving forward on that request. The next thing for you is we did submit a grant, an RIA grant for the Winter Street project. That grant application is for $1.2 million and will be matched with the CTC funds. So if we get that grant, then we can do Winter Street project with two grants matching each other, so that'd be really good. While I'm talking about RA, our current project underway at Hill and Warren Street received its final submittal approval from SCDOT, and they're expected to mobilize in the next 2 weeks. They are on the timeline to finish that project before February of next year, so that project is moving forward. They are behind schedule, but they are still within the schedule of what we're trying to do there. And some more good news on that. Earlier in the year, I applied to RIA for additional funds for that project, because that project did come in over the grant match amount that we had for it, $130,000. And I got word this week that they are going to give us that additional $130,000. So that $400,000 grant becomes a $530,000 grant. And finally, the R.C. Dennis sidewalk project. If you remember, we received a $1.25 million project from SCDOT, the TAP grant, to do that project back in April, I believe. So they have been doing their engineering review of our plans. I got word this week that we've cleared that. So now we just wait for a participation agreement. when we receive a participation agreement, of course, we'll bring it to you. And all that's going to be is them saying, the town saying that we will provide the required match. They will receive the funds directly from the TAP program, and then, of course, the sidewalk will be the town's to maintain from that point forward. But that concludes my report. If any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Okay. Go ahead.
Jeff, I just wanted to say thank you for pulling this together, for us to review. I'm gonna review this, but I'm gonna stand by my previous comments that landowners should not have to come ask the town of Moncks Corner for permission to do something on land they own. I'm all about protecting live oaks, but I don't think the residents should be burdened with a permit fee or a process on property they own.
Okay. New business, a resolution from MASC, the Big Ideal Grant. Administrator Lord?
Yes, to continue the grant line that we're on. So Municipal Association has a new grant program. In the past years, it's been $25,000, but now they have a $25,000 and a $100,000 option. And this is so that we can apply for the $100,000 option, and this is to help pay for the parking lot project that we're trying to do on Heatley Street, the joint parking lot with the county and the school district. So with your approval, then we can submit the application.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Consideration USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service Grant and Agreement Award. Administrator Lord?
Again, with the grant, but this is a big one. So September 27th, 2024, tropical storm Debbie came through town. I think everybody remembers the effect of that. Subsequent to that, the town reached out to the NRCS for their EWP, Emergency Watershed Protection Program grant. We submitted an application, and here we are 1 year later, and we have received approval from them. So the grant funds are $8,146,387.42, with a match of $2,468,602.25. This is, of course, in the budget that was presented to you. The match is, and this program pays for acquisition of land and all the costs that go with it, from title search to demolition and clearing those properties in the floodplain. Of course, it's a complete volunteer participation program, just like the FEMA project we did several years ago. So it covers the acquisition, construction, demolition, and the restoration of the property to a natural flow. It also has a component, so it covers the design services, the contract administration, and any management costs related to it. So in total, it's a over $10.6 million project, with 8.1 of it being paid for through the NRCS grant program. Once we receive approval, then we will sign this and send it out. Then it's got to go through there again, grants department at the federal level, and then we'll have a kickoff meeting hopefully in the next month. And so if everything goes as I would hope, then before the end of this year, then we'll be reaching out to eligible property owners.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? First reading. Consider a zoning map amendment, ZA-25-05, request for a parcel, TMS 142-07-01-002, totaling 10,000 square foot, located at 111 Hatley Street. The parcel is requesting to be zoned office and institutional C1. Justin?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Council. For the sake of time and duplicity, this and the next agenda item I will be presenting as one because they're almost essentially the same. They mirror each other. There will need to be two different motions to approve because they are two different requests, two different applications. But for the sake of this tonight's meeting and the public hearing, they essentially are the same exact request. As I mentioned, these are two parcels. They are both on Hetley, or at least, yes, sir.
Should I read the next one and then we'll include it all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll also consider first reading a zoning map amendment ZA-25-06, request for a parcel TMS 142-07-01-001 totaling 13,800 square foot located at 111A Hetley Street. The parcel is requesting to be zoned office and institutional C1. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I apologize. They are both addressed, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, on Hetley Street, 111 and 111A. Two different applications, but they are both zoned the same and seeking the same zoning. So they are both currently zoned single-family R2. That's our 8,500 square foot minimum lot size. These properties are adjacent to Casaba Meadows on Hetley, to give you an idea of where this is. The permitted uses in this district is one family, single-family detached dwellings. The property highlighted in red is the 111. A, I believe, and then the 111 is behind it, or again, the two properties, you can see the addresses on there, but Hetley goes left and right, you have 17A, and the big wooded lot to the left of these properties is Casaba Meadows, currently under construction. You see the alternative school across the street, it's also on 17A in Hetley. This is the zoning, as you can see, it's surrounded by R2, predominantly south of Hetley Street. However, you do have that TD district across the street, which is the Berkeley Alternative School, and then the red, dark red, you can see scattered as it heads towards downtown. To the east is the C2 General Commercial. So this does fall in line with our zoning ordinance allowing rezonings of commercial C1 as long as they're adjacent to commercial properties. TD is a commercial zone property per the zoning ordinance. The property in question, at least the front one, is 10,000 square feet. They are very, very similar in size. You can see the surrounding districts, as I mentioned earlier on the map. They are seeking office institutional, so that is predominantly commercial and professional offices, typically in single-family areas, which some Hetley is, but it is transitioning, which we'll get into in a minute. It does permit commercial uses that are not major traffic generators. So this is not going to be a Walmart, this is not going to be fast food, this is not going to be restaurants. Professional offices such as CPA firms, real estate firms, travel agencies, and perhaps very minimal or light medical uses such as acupuncture or some other therapeutic massage type people. Again, not a heavily traveled use, but the permitted uses are personal service establishments, professional administrative offices. It does range, it does allow for restaurants, 2,000 square feet and under, but no drive-through restaurants, as well as some other minimal uses that these properties are way too small to consider, such as vocational schools and colleges and universities. And you can see some additional uses allowed in C1. Special exceptions are typical churches, non-certified modular buildings, and public parks and playgrounds, which are run the standard for our zoning ordinance, but special exceptions granted by BZA. At this time, these two parcels will not seek a TIA. However, staff does reserve the right to reconsider should a new use or new owner seek a very intense use that we feel is detrimental or requires an additional research or analyst. The 2024 comp plan does identify these properties as town character residential, so that does conflict with the request. The request is obviously office institutional, where the 2024 comp plan identifies this area to be single-family houses, duplexes, and associated ADUs or accessory dwelling units. This is the zoning, the future land use map within our comp plan. Everything light yellow there, that pale yellow, is considered town character residential. But it is in the mixed use overlay, which does run the gamut of 17A and these property and Hetley as well. And these properties with that overlay are commercial uses, include professional or medical offices, saloons, corner stores, and other uses. Predominantly daily services to existing residents. So really in line with C1. In harmony with two of the goals, enhanced economic opportunities. Again, Hetley Street is converting to a commercial corridor, unfortunately, as downtown continues to see infill and redevelopment. So we are starting to see more attractiveness on Hetley for smaller offices as the density starts to occur along Main. So that's natural kind of growth, and then reestablish downtown as a focal point for the community, which kind of goes hand in hand with my previous statement. Staff's concerned, it is not consistent with the town character residential, but it is consistent with the mixed-use overlay, so that is kind of a positive and negative. But C1 is compatible in intensifying commercial nature of Hetley, as I previously mentioned. Planning Commission did recommend approval at their previous meeting, and staff does recommend approval as well. I'm available for any questions, and both applicants for both of these requests are here tonight to answer any questions should you have any of them.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 12, TMS 14207010002.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 13, TMS number 14207010001 to reflect the same.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
And
That's-
Mr. Mayor and Town Council, that will set this for a public hearing and second reading on October 21st.
All right. First reading, consider an annexation AN-25-03 request for a parcel TMS 122-00-01-013 totaling 13.2 acres, addressed as 468 Nelson Ferry Road, to be annexed in the town's corporate limits, seeking be zoned light industrial M1. Justin.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, this is a former Home Telecom, existing owned by Home Telecom, but formerly used by Home Telecom as a variety of uses with different sheds and buildings on the property for their purposes. It's currently in the county, zoned as Flex 1. There we go. Sorry, apologize. That was a couple slides behind. Flex 1 in the county, agriculture activities, and rural residential. So it's not currently being used in line with the county's zoning designation, which is okay. Permitted uses does run the gamut, though. Flex 1 is a pretty broad zoning district the county has. This is the property highlighted in red. You can see the tidal wave is a couple doors down Nelson Ferry. You see the split near Corner Square, kind of south to your screen, and you see the neighborhood behind further down Nelson Ferry. You can kind of see some larger tracts of land across Nelson Ferry from this, and then our commercial kind of runs north towards the Tailrace Canal, with the Walmart parking lot being visible in the northeast corner of the screen. The property is surrounded by C2, so this is kind of a slight deviation from what we're seeing out there with the request of being M1 light industrial. However, the property is currently used in line with that. The surrounding, obviously, is Flex 1 and C2, so it is basically extending what's already out there. But light industrial is wholesale, distribution, storage, processing, and light manufacturing and general commercial uses. So it kind of runs the gamut of what they're doing out there now. And per our conversations with the applicant over the past couple of months, stands in line with exactly what they want to do in the future. Clean up some of the buildings in terms of the look, clean up the property, and start renting them out to individual uses, whether it's, and I'll let them speak more to that. So if they so choose, or you'll have questions about that, they are in the audience tonight. But they do intend to use it as it's currently being used without major changes. Now, that being said, it does permit uses of limited and manufacturing and industrial uses that are not detrimental to health and safety. Obviously, we would look at them as they come online seeking business licenses to ensure that staff is holding their feet to the fire on that. And it also allows uses in C1 and C2, so it does not completely cut off the possibility to be redeveloped in the future for light office, institutional, and general commercial, so they so choose. So obviously, using that pyramid, they can go down, they can't go up. Obviously, the general commercial is well within the scope of M1, so that's a benefit. Permitted uses, obviously, refuse systems, transportation services, maintenance services. I think Helm Telecom, I believe, had some of their fleet services out there, and general storage sheds out there as well. Special exceptions, again, same that we had mentioned earlier on the previous cases. Transportation staff will not require TIA at this point. However, we do reserve the right, as I previously mentioned on the last case, that should in a more intense use, such as a general commercial, big box store, something of that nature, we do reserve the right to require that at that time should it redevelop. Currently being used, future being used as it is currently, staff feels no need to require TIA at this point. 24 comp plan identifies this as a town character mixed use. Mix of residential, commercial, institutional, and parks and services. Commercial nodes along major collectors. Nelson Ferry is not exactly major, but it is a block or a door or two down from US 52, along being an arterial roadway. High residential density should be located near these commercial nodes. Obviously, this is not exactly what it's doing, so it's not exactly in agreement with a comp plan, but it's, with the future goals and aspirations of the purchaser, it kind of falls in line with what's already existing. So it's not really being changed by this council, it's just being adopted by this council. This is a subject parcel. You can see the hatch line there shows that town character mixed use. You have that to the north with that Johnco property, and then obviously the general commercial being highlighted in that pink. It is part of the highway commercial corridor overlay, which is 1,000 foot on either side of 52, which is ideally service-based commercial businesses, medical offices, banks, and pharmacies. Commercial businesses and service-based could run the gamut of what they're trying to do, so it does fall in line with at least what they've expressed to staff. By no means is that binding, but staff feels comfortable that that's their intent. It is in harmony with one goal and implementation strategy of the 2024 comp plan that enhances economic opportunities. Obviously, this coming into the town as a commercial / industrial, light industrial type use does offer the ability for town residents as well as the area to enhance their offerings and the ability for small businesses to locate here. And this does line up with what the applicant has expressed to staff. Staff's concern is it is not consistent with town character mixed use for the most part, but it is consistent with highway commercial overlay. Existing low intensity clean industrial uses to remain and does provide the opportunity for service-based uses, at least again, per the applicant. Staff recommends approval, as did Planning Commission at their previous meeting. And like I mentioned before, the applicant is here in the audience, two representatives of the company, should you have any questions for them, and I'm available for questions should you have any.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to know something. Excuse me. Go ahead. Are they coming to town if it's already zoned out already with the county?
I don't have a real serious answer, so I'll just tell you that I'm awesome. They really like working with the town.
People want to be in the town.
Well, I'd like to know why.
'Cause
Most people don't.
Yeah, in conversations with my counterpart at the county and working with the applicant, I asked that very same question. At the end of the day, they felt more comfortable working with my staff and my team and this leadership of this town. And obviously, anytime you can fill in some donut holes, it's good planning practices, and Ms. Simmons agrees with me with the county.
Did I understand you correctly? So we're annexing them in, which is okay, but this is to become more in line with their current zoning or the zoning that they're already in, and then to fix the property up to lease. Did I hear that correctly?
Portions of the property, yes, sir. That's exactly right. Flex 1 is not really conducive to what's happening on the site. This zoning district that y'all would allow is.
Anyone else?
So what, what is the intended use of this?
It's my understanding, and I would defer to the applicant at this point, it's my understanding that the various buildings on the property can be fixed up and rented out to small businesses that are more in line with light industrial, maybe a garage or something. I won't speculate, but to use the property in its current form, in its current layout with the current buildings, to add curb appeal, but also obviously add the ability to lease these spaces out individually. But I would defer to the applicant on that to let them speak more on that.
Want to have them come up and?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, Council, thank you for hearing us. So my name is Mike, and this is my colleague Rob, so we're with GHP. So to give you a better understanding, the property itself is already uniquely equipped to support trades using its existing facilities. So a couple examples, the property has a couple warehouses with high bays. It has a smaller office building. One is kind of a flex use building. And those type of facilities in this area with the growing infrastructure, the growing community, we feel there's a need for local businesses to establish themselves and have a place to operate out of. We don't have any tenants signed up. We're still very early in this, but coming into Moncks Corner, and allowing the usage that we're requesting will allow us to kind of take this property and grow it from there.
My question is, and I apologize, I don't go down Nelson's Ferry that far. I usually don't go past Tidal Wave Car Wash.
Sure.
Is the property currently being used by Home Telecom, or it's been just kind of?
So they do have a presence there. Currently, there's like fleet vehicles there. There's some laydown yards that they have there. My understanding is that they've kind of outgrew that property and they've relocated throughout Moncks Corner, but there is a presence currently there, yes.
We broke cables out there, cable located.
Good. All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
All right, first reading, consider an annexation AN-24-03 and zoning map amendment request for 4 parcels, TMS 162-02-00-017, 162-02-00-019, 162-00-01-020, and 162-00-01-029, and a portion of 1 parcel, TMS 162-02-00-015, totaling 96.01 acres, located on the U.S. Highway 52. The parcel would be zoned planned development to allow single-family detached dwelling units, single-family attached townhome dwelling units, civic space, and commercial development. Justin?
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, this is 5 total parcels, with obviously one of them being a portion of a parent tract that we hope to carve off, or the applicant hopes to carve off. This is about 96 acres. It's currently zoned heavy industrial in the county. It's currently vacant. Most of these properties are vacant with the exception of the portion that you mentioned, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, the access to these parcels is limited. Staff is unaware of the permitted uses in Berkeley County zoning district. However, these are the parcels in question. The 4 that are part of the application, obviously highlighted in blue with the arrows, with the dashed line being the portion to be carved off in the future, part of the Groves Church, I believe. That is necessary to give you a background on this, to go off the trails a little bit. The applicant approached staff back in, I believe, November 2024, and we have been working diligently with them to get the best product in front of you that addresses the general town concerns, and obviously make sure that this is worth y'all's while to consider. One of those caveats that staff was unwilling to budge on, that the developer did work with us on, was achieve a 3rd connection. So the first 2 connections, you can kind of see, you have that parcel to the far left touching some 52, but that's not a lot of frontage for 96 acres. You do have another connection with that little key type parcel that also connects to 52. Now that's 2 entrances, but in the original proposal by the applicant, or the most recent proposal heard by Planning Commission, they were looking at about 62,000 square feet of commercial on about 10 acres and about 375 units. That's a lot of units for only 2 entrances. So one of the things that staff felt, not only is it a lot of units for those 2 entrances are inadequate in staff's opinion to serve this many units in their current state, and we are fearful that their current state will not change. And here's why. Ben Barron, as you can see on the southern edge, is already slated to be a signalized intersection. When the last CO, as I'm told, comes online for Carolina Groves, which is that southern end of Ben Barron, that is when it will trip the Warren Analysis, and SCDOT has already essentially agreed that that's where light will go. And staff actually has a bond in our pocket for the developer to install that light. How does that affect this property? SCDOT is very strenuous, as is this is a limited access highway, as we found out with some of the Perry Hill townhomes. They're very weary of adding another light so close. So we do not think that any of those 2 accesses will ever warrant a signalized intersection. And so therefore, we not only wanted to get more entrances and exits, we also wanted to make sure that they actually could take a left and go towards Goose Creek, as our traffic trends tend to do. They come home from Goose Creek, they go out to work to Goose Creek. And making a left out there is just gonna be a nightmare for that many homes. So we wanted to make sure that a portion of it had direct access to Ben Barron, and this is the solution that the applicant came up with. a portion of the Grove Church to access Ben Bear. And it directly connects across, or is directly across from one of the entrances on Carolina Grove. So we are looking at that to make sure it's an inclusive neighborhood. That is our vision to be the main entrance into the development, particularly for the residential side. The surrounding zoning is a hodgepodge. Obviously, you have the PDC, the planned development to the south for Carolina Groves. You have the 3 acres they set aside for Circle K for the 375 units they were approved for. And then obviously the heavy industrial to the south and to the east and slightly to the north of this property. Planned development is a mixed-use community, so it should have multiple uses, not multiple home types, but multiple uses. And that was one thing, this actually was achieved by the applicant working with staff, is not only does this provide us residential, but this also provides us commercial, as well as institutional, which is a pickleball court, which I'll get into in a minute. This is the initial plan. I say initial because planning, to give a little bit more context, Planning Commission reviewed this at their last meeting. There was spirited debate by all the commissioners, which led to some very good points. The developer heard that, and working with staff, the developer has since amended their development that y'all have in your packet to something that's a little bit more appealable to what Planning Commission had mentioned. The 2 biggest things the Planning Commission said was the density. It was high. It was, I think, 3.9, I believe, for 375 units. It ran townhomes up to about 6,400 and some 8,500 square foot lots. So it was a lot of density, a lot of homes. That did not fall on deaf ears with Planning Commission. The other aspect that a commissioner brought up that other commissioners, I believed, echoed was the fact that what does this do for, as we always mention, our existing residents? Obviously, rezoning and annexing properties and developments is all well and good, but what cost does the existing residents bear? In this case, not just impacts for traffic and schools, which are valid, but also our emergency services. What does this do on our police and fire response times? Obviously, as you can see, it goes pretty deep in there with only the 2 entrances on 52 and the one on Ben Barron. And that was you know, a very astute point. All of this kind of circles around another central idea that the commission brought up and staff has echoed before. What does this do to a financial analysis as the town administrator myself always looks at? What does this do to the town's bottom line and our budget, right, to serve this property? Not just with impact fees, which were well and good and are beneficial, but also what does this do to our parks and recs and other aspects of our town and the development? Should the existing residents bear those costs? And so obviously commercial is a large swing in that factor, a large variable that can improve those numbers quite a bit. The density brings that down quite a bit. So one of the things the developer has asked, you can see kind of the townhomes in the center. In that orange area, you can see some single-family detached in the yellow and what they call estate lots in the red, which is the 8,500 square foot lots. You can see in the purple a commercial area, which is that 62,000 square foot, 62,000 square feet of retail on 10 acres. And then obviously the blue is a pickleball court. That was another negotiating tactic that the town wanted to make sure that we were getting the best bang for the buck in negotiating this. Was they asked, as the mayor always does, what are you doing for the town? And one of the things is, you know, we saw on your Parks and Rec plan need for pickleball facilities. What if we built that for you? What if we did that? In the neighborhood, subject obviously to construction at the same time of the development, dedicated and given to the town, but built to our standards. They took basically our original concept idea that we had in that report from 2 years ago and plopped it right in the middle of their project. And it will be used not only by these residents, but all residents of Moncks Corner. So that's kind of the breakdown of the 5 different use types. But what have they changed since? So obviously I mentioned the Planning Commission had serious concerns. The area in orange that was highlighted as townhomes, they have now converted those to single-family detached. So in the PD, you have a Series A, which is the estate lots, Series B and Series C, and those are all single-family detached, and then you have single-family attached or townhomes. They've now eliminated single-family attached in favor of more C and D series, and they've eliminated Series A, the single-family large 8,500 square foot lots, obviously in favor of more B and C. And that significantly solves a lot of those concerns. In some people's opinion, obviously with the financial analysis, it is less density, so therefore it helps those numbers with the tax base and the amount of services provided, but it also helps with the density. and the congestion, right? Less units. So we're going down from 375 to the most recent example is 315. And that was something staff was willing to work and the applicant was willing to work with staff to make sure that it kind of addresses all those concerns. Brings down, I mean, it's not the best plan in the world in terms of perfect, but it's getting there. And again, it's a testament through November 2024 first application down. I think this is probably the 17th version. So we are working towards the best possible plan. The commercial, as I mentioned, is up to 62,000 square feet, about 10 acres. The applicant is willing to limit some of those uses, such as tobacco, pawn stores, title loan, payday, and other predatory lending facilities. Architectural standards, that was one question that Planning Commission had, that staff had, and I believe one of the applicants' representatives said that is entirely possible. Staff has yet to see that, but it is entirely possible to make sure that the architectural standards are more conducive to a planned development, so you don't have a hodgepodge of different uses. As I'm sure you've heard me say a million times, McDonald's wants to look like a McDonald's. Wendy's wants to look like Wendy's, and those two things don't look alike. So how do we get a planned development to look cohesive, neighborly? So that being said, one of the sections of that is the pickleball court. As I mentioned, it is to the south of the property, right off that main road off Ben Barron, highlighted in the blue. Again, this page this design is almost taken directly from our Parks and Rec plan, so we feel confident that's gonna happen as we see fit. Obviously designed by the towns, pavilion, matching and mimicking existing town facilities. So it will look like it belongs to us. It will look like with the red roofs and the green buildings, and it will look like it's straight out of the recreation complex, which is our branding, something synonymous with us, and we'd like to continue. Dedicated parking will be dedicated on the property, dedicated to this facility only, will not be used by HOA or the existing or future commercial. It will be used by our residents, our citizens for this facility. The commercial, obviously you have some setbacks here, 1510. Those are not unnatural considering, same with recreation. We do have single family. I grayed out the Series A because those are no longer in here. I also left out a slide for townhomes because those are not part of the application anymore either. But you see the Series B as 6,600, Series C at 5,400, and the setbacks are conducive to that as well. One thing to note is one of the applicants looked at 5-foot setbacks, side setbacks. We have those quite a bit. Obviously, building code requires 10 foot between buildings, obviously split the difference with the property line, lot line down the middle. One thing that we did request on a more recent conversation is that they up that to 7.5 foot. And the applicant was more conducive to that and willing to give us that caveat. So that equals 15 feet between houses. So they're not ant farm communities in the sense of, you don't have much. Now, that's aesthetically pleasing, obviously, but what does that do with stormwater? That allows us more room to service any stormwater facilities, drainage ditches, things like that we are running into quite often in other neighborhoods that are coming online or have been online. Typical lot layout for these properties, these Series A and Series B, you can see B on the left and C on the right. A 7.5 foot side setback, as I mentioned, 25 foot front and 15 in the rear. 15? Yes, 15 in the rear, which is a little higher. We're used to the 10 or 20s depending on the lot sizes, so it's kind of flexing there. You have the north, so the buffers, right? So you have all this going on. What does that do to our neighbors, to the north and to the south? To the north, the town has requested a type C 25-foot buffer, but given the caveat, as our zoning ordinance does allow for right now, to be reduced by 10 feet should you provide I believe it's a 5-foot tall or 6-foot tall opaque fence to the south as well. The town is seeking a 50-foot buffer, being able to be reduced, again, within line with our zoning ordinance, to 25. Now, a point on that. The town has met with and spoken with the southern property owners, at least 2 of them, represented by a local engineer. They have sent y'all an email, which is in front of you. I took the liberty of printing that off for y'all as well, should you not have received it. The southern property owners are in a support of this project. They work very closely with the applicant to supply them, I believe, with concrete needs. However, they are requesting a 100-foot buffer. And that is not insignificant, but also important. And I'll give you a reason why, and I believe the engineer who wrote the letter, or the applicant, or the property owner who wrote the letter, mentioned something that I've seen several times throughout my career. When a neighborhood locates next door to a nuisance use, and I'm using air quotes as bad as I can, such as a concrete plant, it will take probably 2 years before you'll start fielding phone calls of, how did you allow the concrete plant next to my house? Even though the concrete plant's been there for years. And I'll give you an example that y'all ran into, Red's Electric. We had the issue or the concern with Res Electric. Obviously, they've been in business for a long, long time on 17A. Casabo Meadows coming in, there's concern there. So that request by the southern property owners is not unwarranted or out of the norm. And so obviously, they would like y'all to be aware of that, and staff would echo that that's a reasonable request. The wetlands, obviously, we do have a 20-foot setback wetlands in our zoning ordinance. However, we don't want to see trails in there, and we want to see them buffered a little bit more. So we're requiring a type B. Normally in our zoning ordinance, it requires 20 foot. That's it. Now, whether it's grass, whether it's anything, it's moot. The applicant is going a step further on that 20 foot and making sure it is actually planted to withstand the ebbs and flows of wetlands as we see storms and obviously rainfall events. Speaking of wetlands, you can see those highlighted in the green, the dark green areas around, circled, scattered throughout the property. Again, this is the old exhibit the applicant has would mention. We do not have all updated exhibits per the new plan that we received, I believe, last week to remove the single family attached and the estate lots. So bear with me on the representation, but some of the stuff is still going to be there. Obviously, wetlands can't move. You see the buffer, you can see the type D buffer, which is a 50-foot buffer to the south, and to the north, type C, which is 25 foot. Both those can be reduced 10 foot on the north, 25 foot on the south. US 52 medians, landscaping. So as I mentioned, landscaping the wetland areas, which is above and beyond zoning ordinance requires. We will see a 52 median. That is going to be conducive to what we did with Eastwood, what we did with Halstead, what we've done with Cheyenne Lane, to make sure we have nice conducive planting per our internal approved median planting. That's I believe 4 or 5 years old. And Logan Faulkner and his team does a great job to make sure that's installed, taken care of. And as we've noticed, at the end of the day, if you don't do it right, we're gonna make you tear it all up. I think we did that with Halstead. So making sure that we have this gateway into Moncks Corner is very important. That's gonna continue. Street trees planted along all public roads. 40 to 60 foot increments, that's in line. We wanna make sure we continue that forward. I believe the PD originally asked for where it was appropriate. That's conducive, or that's an opinion. So 40, 60 foot, you gotta prove to me you can't do it. Church entrance. As I mentioned before, staff is very cognizant of the fact that life safety issues are a big concern with developments of this size not having a lot of ingress egress. Also, going with Ben Barron, that signalized intersection, we want to make sure that church entrance is the main entrance into the development. We feel that will be the comings and goings as they can take a left at that signalized intersection, which should happen within the next couple of years, in my opinion. But we wanted to make sure this was not a side street. It should open up to the property to the east, directly to the east, should they ever want to sell, and gives the church, in my opinion, some options in the future should they want to explore that, which is entirely their prerogative. But obviously, providing that as the main entrance into the residential development and our pickleball facility is very important. So we've actually upped our street tree standards to include evergreens. Again, we want this very manicured, very landscaped, very symbolic of coming into a development of this size. Trail system. One of the best things along 52 that we hope to mimic Goose Creek has done, and we have done a very good job in my opinion, we have a 5 to 6 foot trail in some sections, I believe it's even 8 and 10, going through what is the former nursery. It starts with Berkeley Electric Co-op. It continues on and does connect as I've walked it. Through Carolina Groves and along 52, this will continue and stub out to the north. So if anything to the north should develop or somehow miracle happens, we can get across 52 with it. We have this nice long trail snaking through these subdivisions that are used for the public good. Basically the starts of a budding greenway system, my hopes. So obviously the applicant will continue that through. Now, that's great, a trail's fine through the neighborhood. What else can we do? Additional trails, and staff was working very closely with the applicant right before the Planning Commission meeting to include trails around some of these wetlands, some of these natural features, maintaining the landscaping, of course, and the buffers, but to activate some of these environmentally sensitive areas to make sure that after this trail, you can kind of explore the neighborhood, and the neighborhood residents can explore that. And that is, we've seen that with Carolina Groves. You have a lot of trails throughout Carolina Groves connecting the two sides of the neighborhoods together, going around lakes and fishing docks and things of that nature. We hope to mimic that as well. Our goal is for all future developments is to be all-inclusive and a very manicured, I think Carnes Crossroad might be a good example if you've been through that, but we want to make sure that these are not just developments for houses, these are developments for communities to extend our low country hometown feel. That being said, here's some of the in blue sidewalks on both sides of the road. Again, bear with me with the exhibit. You can see the trail system in red, and then in that green, which is kind of hard, you can see the trail system connect the different sections of the neighborhood that will be provided by the applicant. Units per acre, going back to the 375 down to 315. I crossed that out. I wanted to make sure that I was connected. I know 2 planning commission members are in the audience. I didn't want anybody to feel like they were left out, but this being a reduction in density, we felt that did not need to go back. But again, we want to be transparent. So the 375 was originally proposed and saw it in front of planning commission. That equaled about 3.9 dwelling units per acre. With the 315, about what it could be, there's a question mark at the bottom. I'll get to that in a second. But with the 315, that knocks you down to about 3.2 dwelling units per acre. And what does that mean comparatively speaking to other developments? I've got a slide for that. But the breakdown of units, obviously the Series A with the 9 units goes away. The B and the C are now unknown. We did have those numbers. However, with the increase in B and C, we're unable, and I believe that the developer who can speak more on this, wanted the flexibility to ebb and flow with the market conditions. Obviously, losing townhomes and single-family attached was a big loss for them, so they did want the ability to kind of ebb between the B and the C. But at no point will there be single-family attached, according to the most recent exhibit, and we'll make sure of that in the final PD for your next reading. Single-family attached, as you can see, the 162 is scratched out, none, gone. Now the 315, I believe that is never to exceed. As I mentioned, we are only working on 1 exhibit, so the PD has not been incorporated or updated its entirety to reflect that. But we'll double check that and make sure that is finalized before it comes back to you for a second reading. The phasing plan, that is also a question. This is a slide we presented to Planning Commission. We wanted to include one important thing. You can kind of see it ghosting on there. The pickleball facility, we are adamant, staff is very adamant, and the developer has agreed. The pickleball facility will be dedicated and CO'd prior to phase 2. So it will be built with phase 1. This is not a promise, we'll get it. You're gonna build our facility from day 1. And as that comes online, obviously you can caveats and dovetails very nicely into the rest of the development. So we don't want this empty lot sitting here, people wondering when this is ever gonna come on online. So we wanted to make sure that was included. What does the phasing look like for the rest of it? I'm not sure, but we will bring that back, and I'm sure I have all the faith in the world of the applicant to make sure that all these exhibits are updated for you all for the next meeting. As I mentioned before, what does that do and look like with adjacent or previously approved properties? In the bright yellow at the very bottom, that is the 375, that is crossed out. That is the initial proposal, 3.9 dwelling units per acre. With the revised 315, it drops it down to 3.2, so that is within the Riverstone, Village Square, Moss Grove, kind of, which is a proposal, Casabo Meadows area, the 2.47 to 3.48. So it fits decently within what y'all previously approved, or is previously under construction. Still pretty high, but obviously it's lower than Riverstone, which is SFD stands for single family detached. Those are single family homes as opposed to SFA, which is townhomes. So it fits within the Village Square, which is a mix of cottage style, shotgun style homes, and the Riverstone, which is your traditional single family density. Transportation parking. This is very important. Staff will require TIA for each phase. That is something we're adamant about. One of the comments early in the conversations were, can't we just do one and update it? No. 52 will see changes over the next 5 years. It will take 5 years to build this out. It is not fair to hold you to a standard that was true 5 years ago before anybody turned dirt. Obviously, Carolina Groves is not complete yet. That's a big impact. When it comes online, that may be a year after they started. That's going to be affecting all these numbers. So staff will require, and it is in the PD, the most recent one in front of y'all, that a TIA will be required before each phase is approved and they can start turning dirt. We recommend it, but that is actually a requirement, and that's in there. Stub outs to adjacent parcels. That is something we'd like to see. There are some properties to the west. As you, that's about that one. There are properties to the west, as you can see here, highlighted in that light purple that the lines go over, that essentially will become, for lack of a better phrase, landlocked. It would be nice if the developer stub out to that, should that ever be looked at in the future. Y'all are aware, I'm aware, most of us obviously have lived through this. All these developments are well and good, and it's a great plan. Why can't you go get the property next door? Well, they're not willing to sell. Until they start seeing bulldozers on the property next door and they suddenly become willing to sell. So we want to make sure we don't paint ourselves or any other property owners into a corner. And so we are requesting that a stub out be provided to the properties to the west. Obviously, you do have the railroad running, so it's not like we can get the old 52. But these are some larger properties. Obviously, with the road to the north, inadequate for an access for any kind of subdivision over 2 lots. And that purple triangle there is of size. So that is one thing that we would like to request, and we have made mention to that to the developer and applicant. Okay. Parking appears to be met for all uses. That is one thing we are very adamant on. 10 acres is a very large lot, and the 52,000 square feet seems to be a little dwarfed by that. But when you add in parking as required in our zoning ordinance, as well as stormwater facilities that will be on that property, that 10 acres gets used up pretty quick. Parking for the pickleball courts appears to be within the phase in the district. That's important. No point in having a pickleball court for the towns and residents of Moncks Corner on any side of the town if they can't park there safely. So we will make sure that's included, and it is dedicated to the town as well for maintenance and repairs and things of that nature, but to ensure that people are not locked out of the town facilities that I promised you. Roadways, we have a couple different roadways. That's kind of a moot point going through the townhomes. As I mentioned, those are been taken care of or taken out of the project, but you did have various types. All roads that can be dedicated or maintained or taken over by Berkeley County will be not having any townhomes helped, because they will not take over townhomes, the county will not. Now that we don't have that, most roads, I imagine, will be dedicated to Berkeley County for maintenance and acceptance. Wetlands, there are a lot of wetlands on this property, and they have done a lot of work, and I do have this on a lot of slides, to delineate those, to make sure that those environmental sensitive areas are protected. There does not appear to be any floodplain and floodway on the property, so that is a small win on the environmental side. However, prior to preliminary plat, we will work with Hussey Gabel or other engineering partners that we've contracted with to make sure that all of our floodplain and stormwater ordinances are above and beyond what we require. So we'll make sure that it is above board. I apologize, I spoke not above and beyond, but we'll meet all of our standards. And we are currently, as the town administrator mentioned earlier tonight, going through our UDO process. That will be updated. Obviously, the standard is not where we want to be anymore. We want to raise our standard. Obviously, this will go in line with what we envisioned for that. As you can see, some wetlands delineated on there. This is a map from about 10 years ago. We've not had updated, and all of this is speculative. So it is not as bad as it seems on this map. This is taken from Berkeley County GIS. This is more in line with what it is, and this is provided by the applicant's engineer and surveying experts. So you can see kind of as it matched up previously, as I mentioned, the donut holes scattered throughout the property. You can see some of the blue line streams and wetlands. And again, more of the outfall of where everything needs to go. Everything appears, I believe, flows south. Applicant's engineers in intents as well, so they can probably correct whatever I said incorrectly. Adopted policy guidance 2024 comp plan. This is within our town character future land use, which is smaller lot, town mixed residential neighborhoods. This is town mix in terms of the Series B and Series C, and the density should be promoted to include single family houses. Again, not single family attached, so that's a win there. Here's the overlay. This property, and I need to work with the county, all properties are within the highway commercial overlay that goes along 52. That being said, should be a larger planned development. So that does fall in line with our 2024 comp plan guidance. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty steady, it's pretty solid. It is in harmony with 5 goals and implementation strategies. Sustainable community by ensuring current infrastructure capacity to accommodate current future growth. As I mentioned, Ben Barron, not the best road in the world, but it is where SCDOT indicated the light shall be. We do have the monies for that. 52 is a 4-lane divided highway through there. Turn lanes into the property will almost be guaranteed. The developer and I, or the developer's engineer and I have worked closely on other projects, and he can attest, I'm a bulldog about that. You will have turn lanes in your property, I guarantee it. We will make sure that the current infrastructure for the roadways are at capacity for this development, can be served by this development. Range of residential uses, housing, economic type, Series B, Series C. Going from the state lots and single family, you went from 4 options down to 2 options. So that one we may need to revisit a little bit, but it does provide technically with the range of zoning type or housing types and lot sizes does provide a range of uses. Enhance economic opportunities by retention of businesses, encouraging a range of uses and services. By providing more commercial areas, it provides people more places to start their business or expand their business operations. Something that maybe we don't have in Moncks Corner already, or something that we have in Moncks Corner, for example, Brick Rats, to expand and grow. 6, public services, infrastructure, facilities, and programs. As I mentioned, 2 years ago, we did a Parks and Rec plan that indicated pickleball courts. This may take care of that. So we do feel aligned with 6. 9, quality range of parks and recreation facilities. That dovetails very nicely with that pickleball facility. As I mentioned, the Planning Commission did hear this. They were overwhelmingly in support of it, but they did have serious concerns, and I do want to make that point. Needs for more commercial. At this point, the applicant is steady on the 62,000 square feet for commercial, and there are some varying, and staff does agree in some aspects, varying limitations on expanding that commercial, but less density. And with the most recent exhibit that we had provided to us last week, that seems to achieve that in some capacity. Less financial impact, as I mentioned, Planning Commission did have serious questions on that. With the less density and obviously helps financial impact, it does provide more opportunity to not ding us or challenge us on financial services to the town for life safety, parks and rec, police, fire, things of that nature. And less impact on local services, as I mentioned, kind of the same thing. So they did recommend approval, but they wanted to make sure their concerns were voiced to y'all, and I promised I would do that. Staff does echo a lot of those. It is consistent with highway commercial land use and is consistent with highway commercial overlay. Additional rec facilities provided the town, commercial uses are more compatible on the 52 corridor. We're not seeing anything but residential. That's great. Also, Carolina Groves, as I mentioned, 375 units-ish. They saved 3 acres, bought by Circle K. This is 315, and they're setting aside 10 acres. So significantly more investment by the developer for the commercial along 52 to keep 52 a commercial corridor. Needs more commercial. Again, there is some cause for concern on why, but you know, there might be some good arguments to be made there, but less financial impact, and they seem to achieve that. And like I mentioned, stub outs to make sure the landlocked parcels are not left landlocked. At that point, staff does recommend approval. I'm available for any questions should you have any. The developer, their engineer, and their design team is here in attendance should you have any questions for them.
I have a question, Justin.
Go ahead.
So during the original presentation, you said up to 62,000 square feet of commercial.
Yes, sir.
Now we're saying it's going to be 62,000, or is it up to, and when will we know how much commercial we're getting for this? Because that's going to play a huge part on the financial spectrum of this project.
I apologize if I misspoke. The PD and staff report, I believe the staff report, I know the PD says up to 62,000 square feet. And that is an estimate by the developer on what they can get for that land size with stormwater ponds and parking lots. I have absolutely no promises that I can provide you or the council to ensure that that actually happens. And I think the developer, that is a good question for the developer, that I would defer to them on that answer.
Okay. Can we get somebody up here to answer that?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, thanks for having us. Michael Condon, represent the applicant, and with Ryan Leapart, who's also with the applicant. As far as the minimum square footage for the commercial, it is fully our intent to have 62,000 square feet of commercial out there. I know you might say up to. Right now, we've got, some engineering to do, right? We've got to go, design that parking lot, stormwater ponds and all that. So, what I don't want to run into is an issue where we say it's 62,000, and it comes back at 61,000, and, we've got to come back through all this. So, we're happy to, create some sort of minimum that's pretty close to that with the intent to get up to 62,000, but want to, make sure we're protected to get the engineers, locked in and get everything taken care of from a stormwater perspective.
I think the other point of that too is that acreage is dedicated only to commercial property, so it cannot be used for anything else. There's no intent for us to use it for residential. It is strictly commercial property.
My concern with that though is if we're going up to 62,000, and in your example, you said it may go down to 61 or maybe even 60,500. My concern is it goes down to 30,000 or 25,000, and that rewrites the whole playbook on something we're voting on this evening, where we're depending on that commercial tax base to help carry the town. Otherwise, it could be 3 years from now the town is losing money on this project. That's where I'm going with this, so I would like to establish a minimum.
Yeah, I think we'd be more than happy to, establish a minimum. I think, generally with, the concept plans, they're probably more conservative with the parking lots and the storm drainage, so it shouldn't be a problem, but just in case, problem does occur down the road, we do want to protect ourselves a little bit, but I don't think we would go to the extent of saying 30,000 square feet. I think we're probably would do something more in the 50s, right? Closer to that 62, just to give us a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay, because obviously the tax base on a 10,000 square foot building is a lot less than the tax base on a 62,000 square foot building. I think
Yes,
we can
sir.
all agree with that.
Of course, yep.
And is that something we can have before second reading?
Absolutely, of course,
Okay.
we'll be sure to put that in there.
My next question, and I'll leave y'all with this, is Justin brought up that we received a letter from one of your neighbors who's may be supplying your concrete, may not be supplying your concrete. Have we given any consideration into their request for an additional setback on the property to alleviate what I know may become a headache with residents moving into an area and then all of a sudden they have an industrial facility next to them? Frankly, I would side with the industrial facility because they were there first. But we'll be the ones getting the calls on this. Have y'all given any consideration to this or been made aware of this?
That's the first we've been made aware. I believe, talk with the engineer and maybe they can come up and shed some more light, but I believe at a minimum, it looks like there's 75 foot of available space for a buffer. And our intent was to berm that whole area to begin with. So maybe that's kind of a compromise. Maybe it's not 100, but maybe it's 75 with a large berm, right? Instead of the 50. But I think, yeah, we certainly don't have an issue with their request. We should really look at the survey and make sure either 75 is the best we can do, or if we can do 100, then we would be,
And I agree with 75, but that would come down to both of you guys, the developer and the current landowner. But I think in the presentation we just saw, we were taking it down to 50. Did I see that correctly?
It was presented as 50 with the ability to go down to 25 with an opaque fence.
Right.
Okay.
And I have met with that landowner specifically. To Justin's point earlier, you're always looking to purchase the adjacent land. And we're receptive to that buffer. So I think before second reading, we would have that 50 with fence or whatever is allocated and meets, his request as well.
Or could you get the 75 with the burn, if you can do that? I think that would be more comfortable for me if you had the 75 with the burn agreed to.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to have another conversation with that landowner. By all means, we want to continue the communication, and I think we can find something that he would be agreeable to. And the town, for that matter.
No, I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Here's where I'm at on this. It's kind of a bigger development that I like, but there's been a lot of work since this first come to us, and y'all have really worked with the town on giving something back to our community and our residents, and also the commercial element, and getting rid of townhomes, which I'm not a big fan of to begin with, and going to single family. So I think you've really stepped up and have worked with the town, and I appreciate that. It gives us a lot better feeling that if you're willing to work with us than if you're fighting us every step of the way, so.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this. I do want to have some discussion, but that we approve this with a minimum 75-foot buffer, a minimum of 50,000 square foot in commercial, and that we have stubs to any landlocked parcels for their neighbors.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. I want to bring up something. As far as the $50,000, or excuse me, 50,000 square foot minimum on the commercial, can we run some numbers to see what we look like at that level if it does come down to a minimum of 50,000 square foot?
Yes, sir. We'll run that fiscal analysis for you.
And we'll be able to see all of these things that I just mentioned, and that we'll be able to see those prior to, or at least during the second reading, correct?
Prior to the second reading.
Yep.
Got it, thank you.
I do have
One
a
other-
question.
One other thing too, I had just a quick question to follow up with that, and maybe this is for Justin, but there are 3 roads going out of there. 2 of them are crossing Highway 52 with left-hand turns without traffic lights. There's one by the church that is going to have a traffic light, is the interpretation that I'm getting on that. Is it possible to make those other 2 roads a right turn only onto 52 and a sort of your turn lanes, obviously, that you want, but have those 2 exits be a right turn only so that we don't have cars trying to cross 4 lanes? They're actually going to the traffic light to make that left-hand turn.
That is something we can certainly look into. We can look into it for sure.
I can provide some, yeah. Hi, I'm Josh Lilly with Stantec. The northernmost driveway will be right in, right out only.
Okay.
Just like you asked.
Yeah.
The middle one, we do have the ability to do full access there. And it comes down to, that's a controlled access road, so we do have, that spot, I think, has already a median break. I'd have to double check that, but that is, the intention on that one is to be full access. And then, like you mentioned, the one on Ben Barron would have the traffic light. So the thought is that most residents that want to go left will tend to go down Ben Barron or to Ben Barron and use that traffic light. And that was
Yeah, except you haven't driven this road much at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's my concern, right, is that if it is a cross lane there, we are, that is Highway 52 is a 55 mile an hour road. It's to get out of town or into town, back and forth. I've never thought that road was designed to have a bunch of traffic lights and create a way that it's going to take an hour to get to Charleston and 2 hours to get to Charleston. So my concern is that we already have enough people coming across that road. And what they're doing is they're stacking up in those little areas, waiting for their chance to turn. I want to just eliminate that. Is it possible?
It's possible. We can look at that and certainly have an answer for you next time around.
Yeah, because I lived in Moss Grove, and Councilwoman Lloyd lives there now, and exactly what Councilman Law says is what happens there, because now you have Carolina Groves, you got 2. We have been really pushing anything now on our 52 through town, right in, right out. So I think that is something that if you want a left turn, you go through your neighborhood and you get to the red light. And I don't think I would compromise on that very much, so.
Just like with everything, there's a give and take. If we start making that entrance right in, right out only, that's going to impact commercial user. If I'm trying to establish a business, I'm going to want to be near full access, not.
Well, it would just be on the out for people turning left, going back towards Goose Creek, right? Because they're going to be able to right-hand turn in there off of 52. They're going to be able to left-hand turn in there. They're going to be able to right turn out. The only turn you would be eliminating would be the people that want to go back left towards Goose Creek.
I would say as the applicant, we're amenable to that request. To some degree, we defer to the town and how they would like the traffic pattern through that TIA. But by all means, if the request was to make that primary kind of be more of a right turn out, we don't specifically have an objection with that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I have a question. Help me understand something, Justin. We're still building homes in Carolina Grove, correct?
Yes, sir.
How many more are we expecting in there? Do you know?
I think the last number I gave the mayor was 111.
More?
Yes, sir. Well, yes. The reason why I hesitate on that is because Carolina Grove is actually subdivided. You can't get to both sections. There's too much stormwater and wetlands between them. So the section off of Ben Barron probably has another 30, maybe 40, if that. The section to the south, right adjacent to Berkeley Electric Co-op, which is only served by 52, it can never be accessed by Ben Barron. That just came online. They just started pulling building permits, I think, in the past couple of months. So that's where the lion's share of the development is still left to be built. So 111 is probably accurate, but most of it will not be off Ben Barron.
Okay, the slide that you put up there comparing the acreage to the dwellings
Yes, sir.
with all of those subdivisions?
Yes, sir.
My calculations came up to about 1,200. If you do the math, and he's better at math than I am. And that was not counting the townhomes on the other side of Merrimack, not counting the townhomes in Perry Hill, or a project coming up later tonight. Now, I can tell you, I drive from Charleston every day back into town, and it takes me anywhere from 3 to 5 red lights just at Cypress Garden Road to get through it. I'm afraid what we're going to do is dump all this traffic on Ben Barron, and we're gonna have another Cypress Garden on our hands with what they're talking about right there with traffic. People trying to get through that light and people trying to come out of those 2 roads that you got marked already there.
Yes, sir.
All right, my concern is, just like everybody else, is what are we doing about the infrastructure? Once all of this is built, and like I said, we're looking at least 1,200 total within probably a 2 to 3 mile radius on that strip.
Well, these numbers are a little misleading in the fact that some of these developments are either completely online or very close to it, such as Oakley Point. The Groves being south of Publix, that is probably 50% built out. Halstead is well underway. Casabos hasn't started. Those squares proposed. Riverstone is completely built out, to my knowledge. So I want to be clear that these 2 things. One, the number of units you see on this slide are not to be built. They were just approved. So they're in various stages of approval. The second thing is that it's not conducive to all of the developments that we were looking at. This is just the immediate vicinity. So to your point, sir, for example, Kitfield is not on this property. And some other developments such as the RC Dennis tract for townhomes are not on this. So I wanted to be making sure that we're doing an apples-to-apples comparison and give you the best answer possible. The infrastructure question, obviously 52 being a very large road, I believe the COG and SDOT would tell you that road is not at capacity. Unfortunately, their opinions of what's at capacity and what people like you and others drive is probably going to differ quite a bit. And I would defer to Josh being an expert in engineering and working very closely with SCT on what they feel is capacity for that roadway or not.
But what I'm asking is, all these projects right here, are they not along Highway 52?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned Kitfield. Kitfield's not in this area. They're off of Broughton.
Yes, sir.
And 17. So take that out of there. But you're still talking about Perry Hill that still hadn't been developed. They're cleared land and they're starting in there. You're talking about another project probably later down the road, not even a mile, that's getting ready to come to us. And you're still developing some of that. My concern is we're putting that many more homes in that area that's already congested with traffic. And you're right, I don't know what they say, but I can tell you what my eyes see when I come from Charleston. I'm in traffic, and it might take me 15, 20 minutes to get from Cypress Garden Road to my house. And it's only a 9-minute drive because I go to church down there. So that's my biggest concern is we're dumping more homes into these areas that we can't handle now.
Well, that was, so unfortunately, sir, I don't have an answer of what the town or what the applicant can do about that outside the light at Ben Barron. I will say, to your point, Planning Commission did echo those same sentiments of we're having a lot of density and a lot of congestion and possible, and I think it's definitely a concern that the developer needs to help address to make y'all at ease with that fear.
I'd like to speak to the concern. I completely appreciate the influx of traffic. I think one of the things early on in the development of this community was, to Justin's earlier point, this isn't about creating houses, it's about creating a community that people inside that community have a commercial space to go visit that live there. Second point, the town administration has done a remarkable job holding our feet to the fire with regards to a TIA at every phase. So what we do now in terms of infrastructure does not set the standard 3 years or 3 phases down the road. we will be held to that standard at that time to improve the infrastructure.
Okay, you just, and I'm sorry, but you just mentioned that this thing's gonna have its own commercial and it's gonna be on its own community. That's not true. It's gonna be part of Moncks Corner, the town of Moncks Corner. When this thing is built and you're gone, who's gonna handle the headaches? This committee right up here. You'll be gone and we'll be dealing with the traffic. We'll be dealing with whatever flooding we get in that area or any of the other problems that exist, much less more police, more fire, more sanitation that we've got to put in to service that area. I'm done, go ahead.
Here's my thing, and I'm not gonna pick on past subdivisions, however, we've got some junk subdivisions. We've got some subdivisions that all we have is townhouses or housing. A gas station for Carolina Groves was ridiculous. That is a huge development, and we didn't go after commercial. We didn't go after anything for the town. We're trying to fix that now, and that's one thing that I wanted to bring to Moncks Corner, where when we do have development, because we can tell them no, and they could maybe go somewhere else and still build it. So we get all the headaches of the development with no control. Where now we're saying, hey, give us commercial, give us rec, give us things like with the traffic. We're holding you to the fire, someone else might not hold you to that fire. And we can get the same development that's not in the town, and then we get all the problems. We get all the kids for rec. We have so many housing developments that has been approved that has given nothing to this town but traffic. This is a good development. These are the developments that we want to go after. Just like the next one we talked about, it gives us rec, it gives us commercial. These are the developments we need to push for. We don't have to take everything. We can be picky. We can push back, and that's what we've been doing. This staff has worked their tail off to get this down to 315. So, you know, we can sit up here and start talking about traffic. I go to Bosch every day. I'm in the traffic as well. But a lot of this traffic was created by subdivisions and neighborhoods that offered nothing to the town but townhouses and houses, and that should have been addressed before. So that's where I'm at. Anybody else?
We have a motion and a second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Can we get a voice count, Marilyn?
Excuse me, Councilman Law,
Yes.
Councilman Long? Yes. Councilman
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Nay.
Nay.
Yes. Okay. Old business, second reading. No public hearing. The public hearing was done last month. An ordinance of the town council of the town of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, providing for the establishment of the town square redevelopment project area, the approval of the town square redevelopment plan, the financing and redevelopment projects, and other matters related thereto. Administrator Lord?
Yes, sir, council. This is the TIF project. So this is the ordinance which establishes the district, which gives you the ability to add the funding for the downtown project and hopefully eventually the wellness center in the future.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Anyone from the public?
They said no public hearing that was done last month.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Second reading and public hearing, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2024-09 and the budget attached thereto, and to adjust certain revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year 2025. Administrator Lord?
Yes, sir. As council remembers, every year we do a true-up ordinance to adjust what happened during the year, so the budget is adapted to that. So this is just the ordinance amending the current fiscal year budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got to do a public hearing on this one. Is anyone from the public like to talk about this? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Second reading and public hearing, an ordinance to raise revenue and adopt a budget for the town of Moncks Corner, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026. Administrator Lord?
Yes, sir. This is the second reading, excuse me, second reading and public hearing for the ordinance. This is for fiscal year '26. This is what you've been having your budget meetings on. You've got the budget book in front of you to reflect all the changes that you've asked for are in there.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Second reading and public hearing to consider a zoning map amendment, ZA-25-04, request for one parcel, TMS 162-00-01-017, totaling 30.3 acres, located on US Highway 52. The parcel would be zoned planned development to allow single-family detached dwelling units, commercial development, and a dedicated civic recreation space.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from this.
Okay. Justin?
Yes, sir. In working with the developer and the applicant regarding their development agreement, which they're required to by state law, staff and the developer have agreed to postpone this meeting or continue this meeting to a future town council meeting. We will re-advertise for it to make sure that all parties are aware. But until we can get that development agreement locked down, we want to make sure that we give you all everything you need. So they've asked to continue it.
Okay.
So does that mean the first reading is gone away and we're
No,
gonna
sir.
start over?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's a continuation of this meeting to a date uncertain, but we will have. Question?
All right. There was no one that signed up for public input. Executive session. We will need a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters in the fire department. Do I have a motion? Second. All in discussion, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? We're now in executive session. I'm not going to make my 9 o'clock. He's a coming. All right.
Motion, we go out of executive session and
Second.
into regular session.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? There's nothing to come out of executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?